For this week's Preppin data, we're looking at a very convoluted ordering system by Untitled. So we can see that one of our inputs is the daily sales. So if we take a look at that with a clean snip, we've got every single day, and we've got a cent code and the daily sales for that cent. So naturally, we're going to want to join on our cent information because we have our cent, the cent code, the price, and the cost to buy it from the manufacturers or the suppliers. Yeah, cool. So then we join those together on the cent code, and then we no longer need the cent code. So we start off by getting rid of those two fields. Now our first task is to calculate the units sold. So that's simply doing the daily sales divided by the price. And that gives us the number of units that have been sold. So now we don't need price going forward, so we take that out. Now the strange way that Chinbid Sudsco are restocking is on a Wednesday. So we need to be able to, for each week, we want to aggregate the sales. So how do we go about doing that? So first of all, we're going to join on our data on the date with the orders. And the orders simply has every Wednesday and then how many units were ordered, and that was 700 for every type of cent, for clarity there. So we join those together and we get these 85 rows coming through. So one row for each cent for each Wednesday in the data set. And we just get rid of the duplication of that date there. And then when we join on, we're going to join this information now back to our original data set to try and create a kind of weekly umbrella to capture everything from Wednesday to Tuesday. So very similar to the fill down challenge that we did last week. So let's check that out. So we're joining on the cent, and then we're saying that our date has to be greater than or equal to the date from here. So the date from this, our complete data set, has to be greater than or equal to the date from here. So this is all the Wednesdays. So we're basically saying anything after that Wednesday is what we want. And then that's going to give us the ability to use an LOD for each week to just select the most recent week, basically. So let's go ahead and do that. So we use our LOD here, and we're saying that for each of these rows, we just want you to take we just want you to give us the maximum date that's available. So you can see that for these rows here where the date is sort of the second, well, these ones aren't a problem for given because we only have one row per value. But if we come to the second week, so if we come to say the 8th or the 9th of April, then we want to take the maximum. We don't want to have the 1st of April there. We want the maximum date, so then we only get one row when we filter it out. So we go from 6,000 rows there, we do the filter, we get down to 607. That's much more in line with what we'd like to have there. So now we've got sort of the weekly grouping. So we've named this to be the week, and that's all perfect for us. So now we can go ahead and use an aggregate step to calculate our weekly sales. So we're just grouping by the cent and that week that we've calculated. We're grouping by the units ordered because that will be useful for us, and we're grouping by the cost as well. We're summing up those units sold as well because then that's going to help us work out the waste. So now we've got quite a lot of different calculations that we are working out. So we'll start off with the waste, and the waste is basically the units ordered minus the units sold, naturally, because anything unsold is wasted in this strange inventory problem. So that's our waste calculation done. So we can see that there are some weeks where that's quite high for some cents. Now we're going to do the waste cost, and you may notice that just to keep things neat and tidy, I am rounding that to 2 decimal places, but the waste cost is the cost times by the waste. So we do that, and that just puts a numeric value on there. And then we're removing the unnecessary fields and calculating the profit. So the profit is basically the weekly sales minus the waste cost. And we can see in some instances that is going into the negative. So we have wasted more than we've sold, which is a problem. So all that's left to do now is to aggregate this up. So for each cent, we want to know the total profit. So we're summing up that profit there. We're doing a quick bit of cleaning up to round that to 2 decimal places, and then we're creating a rank on the total profit just to see which cents are the most profitable and which are the least. And we can see what we get down here if we rename it to profitability rank. Table's just disappeared for a minute, so I'll leave it there. And you can see that Primrose is our most profitable cent and Apple is our least profitable cent. So that's kind of how much money this current way of working is producing for the company. So it's kind of working not too badly for Primrose, but working not very well for Apple. So maybe we'd get rid of that cent. Maybe we look into changing the inventory process. Who knows? But I hope that was a useful little challenge for getting your head around lots of different things. And thanks for watching.